Welcome to the NS9 Postgame Show, powered by Primanti Bros. I am Ryan. With me is Doug. Doug, afternoon game here, rubber match against the Cubs. Everything was lined up for Don Kelly. Derek Shelton was away for his kid's graduation. Don Kelly's here. It's Skenes Day. You just got to let Skenes do his thing and win the series. And it did not go that way.
Yeah, baseball is a funny game, right? At the start of this series, we liked our chances on the Monday and Wednesday game, right? The game we were worried about was the Tuesday game. We weren't sure about the Majinski start, but we thought Heaney, he'll give us a good chance to win. Skenes, of course, will give us a good chance to win. And how does it turn out? We lose those two. We win the Majinski game.
Right.
Like I said, it lined up nice. We jumped to the early lead, but, Skenes didn't have it today. The offense didn't have it today.
Yeah, the offense doesn't have it too many days, but
no, very true.
But we'll get into it. Like you said, Skenes wasn't his usual sharp self that we've come to know from him, and but we'll get into all that. Before we get started, Doug, let me tell you about Bet Online. Bet Online is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. Baseball season is in full swing, and we're into the home stretch for NBA and NHL playoffs. Has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, and scores, even live in-game betting while the games are being played. With the largest selection of odds on everything from MLB, NHL, and UFC, BetOnline remains the number one online source for all your sports wagering info. In between games, head over to BetOnline Casino with all of our top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. Bet Online, the game starts here. Skenes just from the start was struggling with control. And, he ends up with 4 walks today, which tied a career high. Came into today, Doug, with 1 home run given up on the year. He gives up 3 in an inning. And look, the Cubs are a very good offense. They have a very good lineup. They're going to hit home runs off you. But yeah, Skenes, Doug, we just did the Skenes start in Los Angeles. Like this is crazy that you and I got 2 Skenes starts back to back. But coming off that performance against the Dodgers, he was lights out, 9 strikeouts, shut the Dodgers down, the world champs, comes into this one at home against the Cubs with the series on the line. And he was struggling to throw pretty much any pitch for control.
Yeah, right. Right from the start, hard hit, single first pitch of the game. He worked around
Ian
it.
Happ, go figure.
Yeah, Ian Happ, exactly, or Ted Williams when he plays the Pirates. Man, is there a guy that the Pirates should go get? It's Ian Happ, right?
Right.
But oh well. He walked 3 in an inning. He hardly walks people this year. He walked the bases loaded, and he got out of that with a double play. As you said, he'd only given up 1 home run. He gives up 3 home runs in an inning. That's the thing about the Greek gods. They would come down from Mount Olympus, and sometimes their human flaws would show. They weren't always perfect, and we chalked this up. Skenes' bad game. He gives up 3 runs in 5 innings. Right, that's him getting shelled. Right.
Right.
So many other pitchers, this would have, this would have been 8-0 after 3 or something, and he still, just by being Paul Skenes, was able to keep them in the game and, with a chance, but not meant to be today.
Yeah, and that's a good point. When we see pitchers like struggle with control like Skenes did today, a lot of the times they're not getting out of the 2nd, 3rd, 4th inning,
Right.
And that just, it shows you how good Skenes is, and he was able to work through a lot of it until he started, getting teed off on the solo home runs. But yeah, he still, he ended up going 5. He kept his team in the game. It was 3-2 when he came out. But yeah, most pitchers, middle of the road pitchers are average MLB pitcher, they're not gonna see that fourth inning when they're
Yeah.
struggling with control that bad.
Right. When people are struggling like that and they walk the bases loaded with only one out, they typically don't get the double play, right? That they
Right.
typically give up the double, So, I mean, even in his kind of worst outings, you still kind of walk away shaking your head, in awe of him. He's still
Yep.
really, really impressive. It's just, he had an off day. I'm not worried. I can hardly wait till his next start. So yeah, and we still had chances. We took the early lead, but well.
Yeah, it was looking, like the right script. The Pirates got 2 runs, like you said, pretty early on. Had a lead. You got Skenes on the mound. Like that's what you wanted to see from
That's what we said his
the
last start.
Pirates.
That's the
Yeah,
formula, right? Get a few
right.
runs and let Skeens do his thing, and the bullpen take you home. And
Right. And it's a shame where we're at with this team is that, yeah, these Skenes starts become so uh significant to this team's, final outcome that they need to win these games. But yeah, they're up 2-0. Skeens is on the mound. You think, okay, this is a good start to what the recipe is. And yeah, Skeens just continued to struggle, really couldn't find any bit of control on any of his pitches. He was even and he was throwing everything. He threw the sweeper a lot and he threw it early. But just yeah, couldn't, as I said, he walked the bases loaded.
yeah,
And then obviously gets out of it. I was just hoping he was bored and looking for a challenge or something.
and
But
challenging himself, right? Just playing around.
right.
Watch me do this, right?
Yeah, for my next trick, I'll do this. But no, the Cubs didn't get to him in that inning, but they got to him. What was that in the fifth inning? Was that the fifth where they got the
I
three
think that
runs?
was the fifth. Yeah,
Yeah,
because he went
so
5 and gave up the 3 runs, the three
yeah,
home
it
runs in
all
the
it all
fifth.
hit in the fifth. So they took him out after 5. So yeah, but like you said, with these the series is on the line, you're at home, like these Paul Skeens starts is what you need to get these wins on, and
You have
it's
to win these. You got to
right.
win them. I mean, it's just
And
paramount
it's
to this team's having any kind of success or salvaging this season at all. If we can't win the Paul Skeens starts, it's we're in for a long slog of a season.
you got to win all those Carmen Majinski starts. That's what it is now.
Right. And I mean,
But
again, this could have been a great way to turn the series around. You're able to steal the Majinski series, you get the win there, and you're like, all right, we've got Skeens. This is a
right.
great chance of taking the series from the first place, division rival. And then you just can't, Skeens is not as effective, and we just don't have the offense to overcome,
Yeah.
Paul Skeens having an off day.
Yeah, and like you said, it was an off day. He didn't have it, and that's just like you said. Baseball is weird, and things don't work out all the ways that you think it's going to. That's why you can't count on some of these games as wins. I know, like you said, people are always like, "Oh, well, Skeens is pitching, well, that'll be a win," but
No,
doesn't always work like that.
I'm telling you, when we play the Rockies, Pirate fans are going to say, if we can sweep the Rockies, and
Yep.
I remember it's been 2 or 3 years now where the Reds started out 2-23, and we went to Cincinnati and lost 2 out of 3, and we had chalked that up as okay. When we sweep this series, we do this all the time. We count on wins. We count on wins. We're not a good enough team to say, oh yeah, that's a win, right? We're just not. There's too many.
Yep.
We have too many things that can go wrong with this team. So Skeens can pitch a gem, but the bullpen can give it up. Bad base running can give it up. Bad fielding can give it up. No offense can give it up. We can't be count. We can't look ahead and count wins. We've got to scratch and claw for everyone and keep our fingers crossed. So
When do we play the Rockies? We need to get that going soon.
yeah.
Because they
Yeah,
are bad.
before
Holy
they kind
smokes.
of balance it out.
Yeah, they'll catch fire, or we'll make them catch
I mean,
fire, and they'll
we'll
turn their
ignite
season
them,
around.
right? Exactly.
But then yeah, so Skeens goes 5. They pull him out. They bring in Don Kelly brings in Joey Wentz. Um, he gives up a run. Now the Pirates look, it's 3-2, and now 4-2. Wentz gives up a run. The Pirates, I mean, it's a 2-run game. Like you're still in it. They go to Cal Nicholas. Yeah, Jim said we don't play Colorado until August. Great. They go to Cal Nicholas, Doug. Now, look, this bullpen after the last 2 games is not in great shape. Like pretty much, Bednar's pitched back-to-back games. Shugart threw 20 pitches yesterday. Barucki, Ferguson went.
Right, we're missing Santana, So.
Yeah, Santana's bereavement leave really kind of exposes a lot of this bullpen when he's not here. But dude, Kyle Nicholas comes out like he's the white flag at this point. He's thrown near 70 pitches this week. In the last 4 days, 70 pitches. They bring out Kyle Nicholas with the game still in hand. Like the game's not even in hand yet. Like what?
Right.
What? Like what? What are we doing?
Yeah, I mean, right. I understand. Like you laid it out. I mean, the bullpen's in sort of a rough spot, but man, yeah. I mean, again,
Nicholas there.
You can't go to Nicholas. I mean, I don't understand why maybe a roster move isn't made in a situation like this, and you bring up somebody from AAA. The options aren't great. That's always the problem, and that's always kind of what our guy Neil is focusing on. Hey, they don't have great choices. So what do you expect them to do? But like you said, you bring in Kyle Nicholas at this point. He's he just doesn't know where the ball is going when he throws it, and.
Nope.
Yeah, he is fuel to the fire, and right. The game, I mean, 4-2 was going to be hard to overcome for this team, right? Given that you've got kind of like 3 or 4 guys in the lineup that can kind of maybe string some hits together. They'd already, Reynolds had given you the solo home run. Cruz had knocked in Henry Davis. It's like, you've already got some production from the top of that thing. It's hard to think that the Canario, Triolo, Frazier, Davis, contingent is going to, lead the charge. So you have to keep the game close. And we put in Nicholas, and just like that, it's out of hand. Even though the Cubs tried to give it back to us later on, but
like Nicholas, like he's just like all of a sudden they're throwing him so much lately. I mean, obviously the 54 pitch inning, outing that he had, but yeah, they've just I don't know why they all of a sudden seem like he's like this long man. They're just gonna let him. I mean, it's not even long man because he threw those 54. Wasn't that 4 outs to get 54? He needed 54 pitches to get 4 outs that game. So I don't know. He's just been throwing a ton. I would have gone to like Ferguson or pretty much anybody else. I know Ferguson pitched yesterday as well. But yeah, it's not good. But this was as you mentioned, Neil, this was the game for Neil to mark down because the another manager would do it differently and different results. This was a game he can stick in his cap. But I think this just proves to me that when Shelton goes, Don Kelly needs to go as well. Because that wasn't the greatest.
I mean, believe me, I'd be thrilled if tomorrow Donnie Kelly was the interim manager, just because we moved on. But the approach here is an organizational approach, right? It's not like Shelton is this maverick going against what the organization wants. I often wonder how many of these decisions actually are his. Like, I would not, if you told me today that at the start of the game, Shelton's handed a little sheet of paper that says this is the order you'll use the relievers in, this would not surprise me at all, right? Not one bit. I mean,
on his way out the door, Shelton said, "Don't use anybody good out of the bullpen."
Right.
Leave me
and
with
Donnie Kelly said,
bullpen.
"Don't worry, we don't have anybody good." So you don't.
Do you think Shelton had an earpiece in at the graduation today, like listening to the?
Well, I mean, I'm here in Jacksonville. Had I not had to do the postgame show, I was going to drive down to Boca and maybe sabotage his flight or his rental car. Volunteer to pick him up as an Uber driver and make sure he doesn't make it back for the next series, that sort of thing. But I had
like that.
Contractual obligations here, so
you should have been there anyway to get content and just see if he was like listening to the game or whatever.
Yeah, right. Him saying, he's at his son's graduation, just hammered, going, "Thank God I don't have to pay attention to that today."
All right, so it's 5-2. 8th inning. The Pirates get, like you said, the Cubs gave them some, let them back in the game a little bit. Swanson, misplays the ball. We got 2 on. They get a run in, make it 5-3. Should have got that runner in on third, just, had one out.
Yeah, quite frankly, you had second and third with nobody outs, and you had Reynolds, you had 2, 3, and 4 coming up, and you got 1 run out of it. And that's with the Cubs kind of misplaying some stuff. And, again, so Again, and I mean, Kutch is having a great season. Valdez is at least somewhat average. I mean, he's at least gives a decent at bat up there. You can't expect him to do it every single time, but if they don't do it, it's not happening. I was texting back and forth with a friend. He says, "Oh, I think they're going to make a comeback in the ninth." And I'm like, "Do you see who's coming up?" It's I mean, Hayes made the last out, so it's going to be Frazier, Triolo, Canario, and Henry Davis. Nobody's comparing that to
Your friend
27
sounds like
Yankees.
yeah, your friend sounds like an optimist.
Yeah, a day drinker, I think. But
There you go.
yeah.
But yeah, like and the Cubs were given that second run to the Pirates. Like literally, if Kutch hits it anywhere on the on the field, he's going to score, and he hits it right back to the pitcher. Just just didn't work out.
He didn't run hard, which a lot of people, had this been our leadoff hitter, I think there would have been a lot of, it's different how we look at different players. And, again, Kutch is a vet. He's an MVP. He's, borderline Hall of Famer. I'm not here to criticize him, but we need everybody running everything out on this team, right? We need every little opportunity we can get. I mean, just if nothing else, for an example, to the younger guys. So it's unfortunate. It's, it happens all the time. But, again, we'd have a much different perspective had that been Cruz.
Right. Yeah, there's just this lineup. It's just too many holes in this lineup. So, Kutch goes 0 for 4, Hayes goes 0 for 4, for Adam Frazier. Hey, look, Frazier's played great defense, but I mean, there's nothing at the plate. And he 0 for 4 again. Triolo goes 0 for 3. Kelly actually pinch hits for Triolo in the ninth, putting Bart out there, which I thought that was, I don't know if Shelton would necessarily done that,
Right.
but it didn't matter. Bart gets out. But yeah, I mean, Cruz had the double early, the RBI double, and it's just there's just not very much here. Reynolds hits the home run. Hopefully,
you get a home run from Reynolds and an RBI double from Cruz, and it's like, that's about all you can reasonably expect from them. Like, you can't expect them every at bat to, Reynolds has had 2 decent games in a row. Maybe he's coming out of it. Maybe he thinks it's June 1st and not May 1st. Maybe he skipped a page in his calendar.
Well, he woke up today and saw it wasn't April, so he's like, okay,
yeah, that was just good enough. He's like,
but
thank God.
him heating up would be huge. And hopefully he is.
Yeah, now come on, Bucko Mike. Bucko Mike says a meaningless homer from Prego, meaning
It wasn't meaningless.
It wasn't meaningless at the time. It gave us the lead. It was an important home run at the time. Sure, when you look at the whole game, it didn't matter, but nothing mattered at that point. So
he had a good play out there in right field too. So
yeah.
I mean,
that was a nice catch, and he got up to make the throw. Yeah.
At least you could say, the defense was, pretty solid for the most part. More recently than what we saw at the beginning of the year, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's God, it's just, if these guys could hit just a little, I mean, if Triolo could hit just a little,
something.
Yeah, I mean, man.
Ninth inning, Hunter Stratton comes in. I guess no, that was the 8th inning.
He came in the 8th, yeah.
He gives up 3 more runs, and the Cubs kind of just broke the game open. Yeah, I mean, like I said, Stratton wouldn't be here if Santana wasn't on bereavement leave. Gives up 4 hits, 3 runs, no strikeouts. Not the greatest outing for Stratton there, Doug.
No. I mean, and it's funny because they're talking to Hannah about, how great his rehab was. I'm like, well, it's not completely successful yet because, yes, he's back and I guess he's healthy, but it looks like he could use a little more time at AAA before we bring him up. And I'm a fan of Hunter Stratton. He's the kind of arm every bullpen needs. You can shuttle him back and forth. He's, I mean, you're gonna use 20 relievers throughout a season, and you could do worse than Hunter Stratton, but not a good outing. And again, this team just can't afford to let things get further out of hand if they want any chance. And probably a little unfair to put this on the relief pitching because from 3-2 we were probably in trouble.
like you said, yeah, the chances of them coming back from 3-2, 4-2 was slim. And then, the Cubs break it open there. So, Yeah, just a tough, afternoon rubber match game that the Pirates drop here 8-3 on Skenes Day. I mean, yeah, I don't know what else to talk about, Doug. This lineup is just so bleak.
Yeah, it was funny because I was thinking about some of the stuff we might say today, and I was just like, man, we're like we're like at a concert, and the lead singer says we're gonna play some stuff off the new album, and everybody boos, and he's like, all right, just play the hits. So that's basically we're playing the hits. We can't hit, we make bad bullpen calls. It's just if you look up a picture of, or you look up the definition of redundant in the dictionary, there's a picture of NSN9 twice. Like we have the same thing. The only difference today is we didn't get to talk about how awesome Paul Skenes was. And we talked about
Yep.
we're back to the inept offense and the bad use of the bullpen, and it's just this team doesn't give us a lot of new subjects to cover. It's
No.
they're pretty bad consistently. Even though they're bad in a lot of different ways, they play the hits. So
Speaking of hits, Doug,
And you guys need to keep believing.
but anyway, moving forward, the Padres come into town the next three, Doug. That's probably not great because the Padres are off to a hot start. They're another good team, another good lineup. But I mean, with Skenes move, I mean, are you worried about Skenes? I'm slightly not. He didn't have it today. Most pitchers that happens. They're not even seeing
yeah,
3 innings, so I'm not
right. I
concerned at
mean,
all.
we've watched baseball long enough. We've watched great pitchers, have off days. And again, his off
Yep.
day resulted in 3 runs.
Right.
I
Yeah, they're a
imagine,
one-run game still. Yeah.
I imagine this will just he'll really looking forward to his next start. I expect to see some laser focus and intensity. Um, yeah, and really, he has not looked as dominant this year as he had, at points at last year, except maybe say that Dodger start. Um, so he's I mean, and again, he's still better than anybody out there. So even if he struggles a little here for and has a little, what we'd call a slump for Paul Skenes,
Yep.
he's still going to keep us in every game. I still like our chances, and yeah, I'm not the least bit worried about him at all.
Yeah, I'm with you. He'll be just fine. He's Paul Skenes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough and it's not fair because we put a lot of pressure and importance on these games because the team isn't good enough to win most other
He
days.
he is mostly responsible for all our anger, right? Because we now have Paul Skenes. We can't blow this. This is our best chance. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, we put all this pressure on each game, and had they taken Dylan Cruz or something, and he's picked it up here a little bit, we'd be like, well, another guy trying to find his way in the MLB. There would not be this huge, enormous pressure for the team to perform. But now you've got this generational pitcher, and we've put all these hopes and on his shoulders, and again expectations on the organization to like, my goodness, look what you have, do something. They haven't, which has frustrated us. And then, right, we can't win every Paul Skenes start because the rest of the team's not good enough.
Yep.
And so, yeah, to me, he's kind of changed the dynamic of how we fan because he's changed what our expectations are and what they should be. And the team is not meeting them. And it makes it really frustrating.
Yep. So Pirates lose 8-3, lose the series to the Cubs. Um, Tonight, Doug, the guys will be on NS9. Would it be considered NS9 Plus or NS9 Live? Because
And
they're having a guest
NS9,
tonight.
NS9 Live, and they got Jumpin'
Yeah.
Jack Flash, one of
Jack
my
Flash.
favorite pirates there. Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Wilson will be on tonight with the guys. So check that out. 9 o'clock tonight. And we'll be back for the Padres series. Anything else to add on this one, Doug?
May 24th, the tailgate. So
There it is.
look for us
Doug
there. I
will
think
be there.
I will be there. I will be there. So
Come get Doug's autograph. And
yeah, there you go. That's get it now while the value's still really low.
That's right.
And then hold on to it while the value stays really low. So,
well, thank you guys. Like, subscribe. We appreciate all the support, and we will be back tonight. So,
yeah,
peace. See you guys.
See you guys tonight. Yep.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in. Whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube, if you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.